In March 2019, 4 families disappeared from dormitory towns in southern Brazil. All cases were closed in less than 48 hours. No investigator explained why. Until now. Between 2017 and 2022, police stations in 4 cities in southern Brazil received over 30 reports of suspicious activities on isolated rural properties. Children seen outside school hours. Nighttime movements. Neighbors reporting screams during early morning hours. All reports were classified as unfounded. But documents obtained through the Freedom of Information Act show something completely different. And what I found questions everything you think you know about safety in small towns. In the next 16 minutes, you'll see evidence that was never released, social worker reports that were ignored, testimonies that disappeared from case files, and a pattern connecting these 4 cities to a network nobody wants to admit exists. You'll understand why police officers were transferred days after opening investigations, why judges closed cases without analysis, and most importantly, why this is still happening. Because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which cities this occurred in. And if you live in the south, you'll want to check if your city is on the list. Start with the Martinez family. Diego Martinez, 34 years old, IT technician. His wife Ana, 32, elementary school teacher. 2 daughters, Julia, 7 years old, and Mariana, 4. In September 2018, they lived in a dormitory town of 15,000 inhabitants, 40 kilometers from Porto Alegre. Simple house, normal life. Diego worked from home 3 times a week. Ana taught at the municipal school. Neighbors described the family as reserved but polite. Julia was in 2nd grade. Mariana attended daycare. On September 12, 2018, Diego sent a message to his work group at 2:37 p.m. "I'm going offline for a few days. Family matter." That was the Martinez family's last documented communication. When the paternal grandmother went to visit them 3 weeks later, the house was empty. Clothes in drawers. Food in the refrigerator expired 18 days prior. The car in the garage. The missing persons report was filed on October 4, 2018. On October 6, just 48 hours later, the case was closed. Official justification: voluntary change of residence. No evidence of crime. But here's the problem. Diego Martinez had an active employment contract. Ana was on medical leave for depression, documented since June 2018. The children's school was not notified about any transfer. Even stranger, no neighbor saw the family leaving, no moving truck, no activity. The police report, obtained via Freedom of Information Act, is 2 pages long. 2. For a family of 4 people who disappeared without a trace. The investigator in charge? Transferred to another jurisdiction 7 days after closing the case. Here's where it gets strange. 3 months before the disappearance, in June 2018, Ana Martinez made 6 calls to the women's police station. The record exists. Transcripts don't. They were misplaced during archive reorganization. A social worker visited the residence on July 20, 2018. Her report mentions concerns about induced social isolation and need for urgent psychosocial monitoring. No monitoring was conducted, and the Martinez family wasn't alone. Wait, before continuing, you need to understand something. What I'm about to show you connects 4 different cities, 4 families. The same pattern, the same warning signs ignored. And when you see the document I obtained from the regional social services, you'll understand why this was silenced. But first, the second case. 180 kilometers away, in Nova Petropolis, the Oliveira family. Roberto Oliveira, 41 years old, supermarket manager. Wife Carla, 38, homemaker. 3 children between 9 and 14 years old. March 2019. Roberto quits his job that he'd held for 12 years. Without notice, the regional manager tries to convince him to stay. Roberto refuses, saying he found a greater purpose. 15 days later, Carla withdraws the children from school. Justification: homeschooling. In May 2019, neighbors report the family receiving nighttime visitors, unmarked cars, people wearing dark clothes, activity between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. An anonymous report was made to the civil police on May 28, 2019, requesting a welfare check on the children. The visit was scheduled for June 4th. On June 2nd, 2 days before the police visit, the family disappeared. Empty house, furniture left behind. Clothes in drawers. The case was closed on June 6, 2019, 4 days after the disappearance. Justification: voluntary relocation. But here's where the real mystery begins. Through the Freedom of Information Act, I obtained reports from the Guardian Council of both cities. In both cases, Martinez and Oliveira, there are mentions of a therapeutic community. offering holistic treatment for depression and anxiety. The entity's name, Institute Rebirth in Light, active tax registration, registered as a religious organization since 2015, declared headquarters, rural area of Cambara do Sul. Here's the important part. Institute Rebirth in Light has no website, no social media, doesn't appear in any public search, but it appears in 14 social worker reports between 2017 and 2022, always in the context of families in the process of lifestyle change. And in all 14 cases, families disappeared within 60 days of the first documented contact with the institute. No investigation was opened into the organization. In March, began attending spiritual meetings. In April, disappeared with his entire family. The case of a missing police officer was closed in 48 hours. No search, no investigation, no follow-up. And here's the pattern nobody wants to see. All 4 families had members with recent diagnoses of depression or anxiety, were contacted by therapeutic support groups, withdrew children from formal institutions like school and daycare, disappeared within 90 days of first documented contact, had cases closed in less than a week. 4 cities, 4 families, 16 people, 0 investigations. But did the police hide this? Document 1. Internal report from the Rio Grande do Sul Civil Police, dated August 2020. The document, 47 pages, was obtained through Freedom of Information Act request after 3 denials and 1 appeal. Page 23, paragraph 4. Activities of recruitment identified in Serra Gaúcha municipalities by religious organizations with high control group characteristics. Monitoring recommended. Recommendation, monitoring. Action taken. None documented. Document 2. Internal email between regional police chiefs, October 2020. Subject, voluntary disappearances, procedure guidance. Excerpt. In cases involving adults without criminal history and no signs of violence, closure should be prioritized to optimize investigative resources. Translation: don't investigate, wait. Document 3. Minutes from Regional Guardian Council meeting, February 2021. Present: 4 guardian counselors, 2 prosecutors, 1 police chief. Agenda item 7. Concerns about unregulated homeschooling and isolation of children in closed communities. Decision recorded in minutes. Await guidelines from Public Prosecutor's Office for coordinated action. The guidelines never came, or were ignored. Now, the question nobody wants to answer: why did authorities with clear evidence of a pattern choose not to act? 3 possible explanations. Theory 1. Systemic incompetence. Police stations with limited resources prioritized violent crimes. Voluntary disappearances took a back seat. Lack of communication between jurisdictions prevented pattern identification. Problem with this theory: the 2020 document proves the pattern was identified and was consciously ignored. Theory 2. Religious protection. Brazil has constitutional religious freedom. Authorities avoided investigating religious groups for fear of persecution accusations. They chose not to act to avoid political controversy. Problem: this doesn't explain why social worker reports about child welfare were ignored. Child protection supersedes religious freedom. Theory 3. Active protection. Someone with influence, political, economic, or institutional, actively protected these organizations. Investigator transfers, rapid closures, disappearing documents weren't coincidence. They were coordinated. This is the most disturbing theory. And it's the one with the most evidence. Which one do you think is the truth? Because what I'm about to show you changes everything. In December 2022, a woman presented herself at a police station in Porto Alegre, name not disclosed for protection. Let's call her Witness A. She claimed to have lived for 3 years in a therapeutic community in the rural area of Cambara do Sul. She managed to escape in October 2022. Her testimony, 12 pages, describes a community with approximately 80 people. Children in isolated education, without external contact, mandatory unpaid work, surrender of personal belongings and financial resources to the spiritual council, impossibility of communication with external family members. She identified members of the Oliveira and Silva families among the residents. Witness A provided GPS location of the property. The Public Prosecutor's Office was notified in January 2023. In March 2023, an operation was prepared. 3 days before the operation, the property was abandoned, completely empty, no traces of recent occupation. Someone warned them. And here's the part that changes everything. Phone call records show that a phone registered to the Institute Rebirth in Light headquarters received a call from an institutional civil police number 4 days before the operation. Call duration, 7 minutes. The internal investigation into the leak still ongoing. 2 years later. Today in 2024, Institute Rebirth in Light maintains active tax registration. Declared headquarters remains the same. No member of the 4 families has been located. No formal charges have been filed against the organization. The investigation into operational information leak is ongoing. Transfers of investigators who tried to deepen cases continue to happen. 3 new social worker reports mentioning similar organizations were filed in 2023 in southern municipalities. No investigation was opened. The pattern continues. And the question remains, why? Incompetence? Negligence? Active protection? 16 people disappeared, children living in forced isolation, documented evidence ignored, and nobody is held accountable. The truth is that without public pressure, without visibility, cases like these remain closed forever. Which theory do you believe? Systemic incompetence, fear of religious controversy, or coordinated protection? Leave your answer in the comments now. I want to know which makes the most sense to you. If you know anyone from the South, share this video. Someone may have information about these families. Next video. Police chief disappeared after investigating farm. FBI confirms international connection. A case that goes beyond Brazil's borders. This case is not solved. The Martinez, Oliveira, Silva, and Andrade families are still missing. And until the police act, these questions won't be answered. The truth is out there, and someone needs to find it.